Hello there, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to thank the WXN for this extraordinary invitation during these extraordinary times. We don't
Mhm.
know how you're feeling out there, but we know you're feeling it. It's been such a rough go for the last 2 months, despite the fact that we're all staying really positive. There's just challenges every single day. So this is definitely the very perfect time to amplify our courage and to learn about the courageous living mindset so that you can really rise above the drama, rise above the circumstances, and connect to that inner compass that you have within you and bring yourself forward. So we are absolutely delighted to be with you today because you're going to walk away with some really exceptionally important insights as to what might be feeding into some of the breakdowns you might be feeling, and then turn that around into a breakthrough and understand what it really takes for you to, despite the circumstances, continue to commit to live your best life.
Wonderful. And so thank you very much as well. We're so excited to be here with you. And my name's Joanna Andros. And obviously that was Tanya speaking, and we're so happy to be here with you. Okay, we're ready to go. So hopefully all you ladies are ready to go as well.
Okay.
Wonderful.
And we prepared the handout for you. If you didn't manage to download it, that's okay because it has a lot of summary in it. But if you just have a piece of paper and a pen or something to write with in front of you, that's a really, it's a good time to grab something like that. So I'm going to start sharing our screen so we can take you through this process. And this is a really good time for us to actually start with a nice deep breath in. How about we do that? Let's just take a nice deep breath in through our nose. Exactly. We'll take another deep breath in, everybody. Let's take another deep breath in. And then one more slow, deep breath in through your nose and out your mouth. Slow. Awesome. There is a type of breathing that we talk about in Courageous Living, which helps to amplify your oxytocin, which is that tend and befriend neurotransmitter. But now we just need to get really settled into our seats and take this special time just for you. So as Joanna said, that we're Tanya and Joanna, and we're the founders of Courageous Living. This is such an important company for us because we built this company as a passion company. Actually, let me just move this so I can, boom. So Joanna and I started this company in 2006, and it was during a really pivotal time of both of our lives. Joanna had already been doing a lot of the personal growth work in order to make some significant changes in her life. And both of us had really experienced what we now have called the doing, doing, done syndrome that so many women go through. And also, coupled with the going, going, gone syndrome, where you basically are doing, 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 and not really setting the proper boundaries for yourself and communicating your needs and your wants along the way. And then all of a sudden you wake up one morning and you're like, that's it. I'm done with this. I'm done with that. Or the going, going, gone, where, that was especially in my life where I was just going for my goals. I was going for what I thought I should do. I was going for everything in terms of making everyone happy. And then I just lost myself along the way. And so at the time that we met, Joanna had already started that personal growth journey. And I was definitely in a place of thinking, how can I change my life? How can I make the significant, pivots that I need to not continue seeing the same results? And it was at that time that actually Joanna started showing the movie The Secret. It was a bootleg copy well before it was even published, if any of you have seen that movie. And she started showing it in her living room, and through friends of friends who are allowed to participate on these secret Sundays, I met Joanna. We watched this movie again, and I realized, oh my gosh, are you telling me that my beliefs create my life? And that's when she and I decided, okay, I went on a full year personal reinvention journey. And then after that, we created Courageous Living because we were so committed to help women along this journey. So many women get caught up in what's expected of them in life. We know how it feels to feel the pressure of having to do it all. And at Courageous Living, our entire mandate outside of the regular work we do, like Joanna's a full-time emotional healing therapist and coach, and I'm a full-time professional speaker in the world of business and business coach. But this work, this is our work, this is our life calling. And courageous living, we give women the personal leadership skills. It's not just empowerment, but the personal leadership skills to be able to set those boundaries, to be able to create that vision, to be able to carve out the life that we want for ourselves, and the tools and the skills, and most importantly, the support to find your authentic voice and create the fulfilling and joyful life you love. And for us, that's such an important part of it, because many of us live and die by the check marks. It's like, did I get this done? Did I get this done? And this is still what's on my list. And a lot of that, can reflect how we feel about ourselves and our achievements. But the way we measure success is actually by a new measure called your JPM, which is your joy per minute. For us, it's not about the check marks, because a lot of people can actually get the goal, but not feel joyful once they get there. And I think we've all felt that at one point. So for us, it's really about helping you create your fulfilling and joyful life that you love.
And we also knew that it was also about looking at every aspect of our life: emotional, mental, physical, financial, sexual, self-expression, creative, every area of your life. So that's, about a little bit about our company, who we were, who we are, who we were, where we've come from, and the work that we do. So now it's about you. So now we're so excited to really get right into our workshop program. And it is a workshop, so we encourage you all to participate. As Tanya mentioned as well, whether you have your journal, your piece of paper, because there will be exercises for you to do. And we really, really want you to be able to have that breakthrough for yourself. You get this moment right now to commit to yourself and say, yeah, I know it's in the middle of your day. You may have other things going on, but if you can really do that for yourself, take that nice deep breath and actually say, yeah, I'm going to just participate, be here, and give it your all in the participation, because we know that there might be some real good breakthroughs for you to have that you can take away. And we certainly hope that for you. So we're ready to start. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So when we look at, what is courage, the actual definition of courage is the ability to do something that scares you. And we know that, right? But it's like, do it and feel the fear anyway. And it's also the strength in the face of pain, struggle, or grief, something that we all need now.
Mm-hmm. But we like our special definition that we really go to all the time, which is so powerful, is courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment or decision that something else is more important than fear. So we're going to read that again. So courage is not the absence of fear. Yeah, we're never going to get rid of that. All of a sudden, when we're going to move outside of our comfort zone, there is going to be fear. There's going to be something changing in our life, but there is something else that's more important than fear. Something's got to propel us further. And that is hopefully you, me. It's us. It's our dreams. It's our goals. It's our wishes. It's the things that we want for ourselves, and to really tap into those things. So we understand that courage is needed just so that we can get beyond that fear and just understand it. Understand that it's just going to be something that scares us every once in a while, but we're more important, and our goals and our dreams are more important.
Exactly.
Yep. Sorry. So we're just going to go into the fact that, and why is that? Because, making those steps forward in any dream that we want, especially understanding that we can do and have anything that we really want. Like, we really are unlimited in our goals and our thought process of wanting to create something, but to really understand that the only thing that may get in the way is our fear. And we want to come at least from that premise that we are unlimited. The moment we think of something that what we want, we've all of a sudden dreamed it and thought, oh, I'd love that to happen, or I can see myself doing that. We need to understand that that's possible. It's really possible for us then, because we have actually dreamed it. And so today we're really going to look a little bit deeper then. So what might stop us from that? If we are so unlimited and able to attain all of these different things, then what might be getting in their way where things are not happening as fast as we want?
Exactly. And when When we talk about the courageous living mindset, I mean, everything we've kind of mentioned right now is stuff that you've seen before, you've heard before. So we want to get beyond the surface of this conversation. And, it seems like, okay, well, I know what I want, or maybe you're redefining it now because of the circumstances. But I mean, over the last 15 years, with literally thousands of women having taken our workshops, and whether it was like with TD Wealth or just, the hyper professional landscape, or the women that are just gathering in Joanna's living room for our monthly mentor circles, it doesn't matter, because every single time when we really get down to it, the courageous living mindset comes in two parts. And although they seem really simple, it doesn't matter really who you are. We've dealt with people at the highest level of government, or moms that are just starting their career, which are just as powerful as women in the highest level of government, as you know. But the thing is, one of the hardest things to do is to declare the goal. It's like, okay, the courageous living mindset is have the courage to declare the goal. And we should also have in red, believe it's possible. That's also just as hard. So it takes courage to say, you know what, this is what I want. I can tell you in my own life, people will see me as a person who is confident, one that has no trouble communicating. And yet, whether it's in my marriage or it's in my, friends categories, etc., to sit there and think, no, you know what is it that I really want? Not what I'm okay with, not what I can put up with, not what I think is best for everyone in the moment, in a place where I'm actually not sacrificing myself. What do I want? And so many times we see women coming in with the should goals because we are socially conditioned to want certain things for ourselves in our life, including weight. I think we're socially conditioned to complain about our weight literally every single decade of our life. And it just, and you look back and you think to yourself, my gosh, like I was amazing back then. Why was I? And why was I complaining? Yeah. And the key is to understand that we are actually looking at our lives through these social filters, right? So we think, okay, we should do this and I should do that. And, Joanna knows me as a person that had grown up a lot with comparitis. I was like, oh, well, if she can do that, then I can do that. And then if I should do that, and then I should move faster. And one of the greatest, I think, disadvantages that we could ever give ourselves, or one of the greatest, disappointments, is to try to live somebody else's life because it looks so good. Our key is to get you to an authentic place of connection so that you can understand what is your true life. What is the one that really makes you happy? And it doesn't necessarily have to exclude everyone else. And that's what happens is often we think if I declare a goal, that means it's going to be me, but not everyone else. And somehow someone else will have to suffer. But often when women are not doing the thing that they really want, everyone's suffering anyway, because they start to build up resentment
Absolutely.
and, wanting to change, make other people. That's why misery loves company, ladies. So we better be happy. So the courage to declare the goal, and then the courage to believe it's possible, that feeling that you have, it's like, you know what? I am worthy. I am worthy of that. Like this can really happen. I can have this and I can have that. I can, have, because you just feel so guilty, right? I know now I'm homeschooling my son and I'm trying to run this company and that company and put these initiatives together. And you're just like, how am I going to make this possible without feeling like I'm constantly failing? And that's the thing too. It's like, how can you declare the goal, one that really fits you right, that perfect outfit, and then really believe it's possible despite the circumstances in an unconditional state? And then the second part of the courageous living mindset is to do the work along the way to get it. And we often think that the work along the way is about the physical work, the strategic work, like, whether it's your wellness and choosing healthy foods and shopping correctly, or getting out and taking a walk, or making that phone call, or writing that email, or pitching that presentation, whatever that is for you, right? But we're talking about the internal work. So when you create goals, there's actually external goals that you set, ones that are physically tangible, like a new house or a new job or a new position or a new whatever that is that you can visually see. And then there's the internal goals, the internal space, the who you need to be in order to live into that and not sabotage yourself or your joy. And so part of the other principles of courageous living mindset is not only that you can be, do, and have anything you want and you're limitless, but is that when you do create a vision for something new that's different or bigger than anything out of your comfort zone, and anything that you don't already know is usually out of your subconscious comfort zone. It's like if you've never done it before, your mind's going to be looking for that certainty and there won't be any. And so out of the comfort zone you go. And so anytime that you're looking for something new in your life, you are literally, like actually calling forth a breakdown in your life. And that simply means that the life you have now has to break down in some significant way in order to make room for the very next thing. But we like it smooth, we don't want the drama. We don't want the big changes. And so many times we've had women come into the mentor circle, for example, or they've said, that's it. My career, it's just not calling me. I feel so disconnected. I pays well, but I'm not really feeling it, And then they're wanting a change. They're wanting a change. They're wanting a change. And it's, magical. When you declare that goal, if you don't make the changes, life will force them onto you. And, before she knows it, she's getting laid off or, fired or whatever for some crazy reason. And it's like, oh my God, like something's changing. And the whole point is that change is going to happen and it's good for you. Like it's happening for you. And I know that, in our kind of mind, we think, okay, it's happening for me. But when it's happening to you in your own life, the breakdowns look like it's not working. So the courageous living mindset is about understanding that while you're doing the work on yourself and in your life to go get it, things will start to break down. And it's about knowing how to handle that.
Exactly. And we want you to remember that's a really important distinction for us always to remember, to take on, to understand, especially because we know we want to come outside of what we already have. We want to move forward into a new place. And that's if you create that vision. So always remember it. Expect it. That's more important to remember. I'm actually asking for it. I'm asking for change. I'm asking for a breakdown. But then to be able to understand, okay, so when I get in that breakdown, what am I going to feel? And yes, it's fear. And we're going to get triggered in different ways. And sometimes we don't even recognize that what's underneath it is fear. That it can show up in different ways. And if we don't understand how to distinguish that, then we go down the spiral, down the sinkhole of all these feelings and of these things that are starting to happen in our life. So for example, you see it on the screen that there's a number of them that could happen. And this is just a few that we've picked, but yes, negative self-talk. So all of a sudden the inner chatter comes. And sometimes we don't even distinguish that there's inner chatter. Like we just so used to talking to ourselves and having a conversation, but one could be saying something very negative. And that's what we want to pay attention to, because that changes everything, our whole dynamic, our whole feeling, and certainly starts to change our results. And of course, that negative chatter, does it go right into that doubt? We start doubting ourselves, our abilities, or if anybody wants what we want, or anybody's going to be, are they going to make fun of us? Or are we too old, too young? Do we not have enough money? What all the doubts start coming, and then how that has an effect on us. And then of course, then feeling overwhelmed. And then what happens when we feel overwhelmed? Then as we see, procrastination, or we just start making excuses, getting distracted, not doing what we need to do. And then our patterns come up, patterns that we maybe had our whole life, of things that we notice. And we'll go into some of these later so that we can really be aware of what could be stopping us, or just, as we say, just notice, I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm outside of my comfort zone. Things are changing. These are normal things to happen to us when we get triggered by fear. And so for us to really understand that these things that we see are are the way. When we get into that place and we see those things happening to us, and even when we get stuck and stopped and we just feel like we don't know how to move forward, this is it. Something's stopping me. Why am I feeling this way? And to understand, as this statement is saying, what's in the way is the way. So what's actually stopping us, let's get present to it. Let's hear what's actually going on in our mind, because that's the gold. We want to be able to identify that, in a way that we don't like start believing the negative talk or making a pattern that continues in this negative avoidance procrastination pattern, but actually look at it and say, yeah, why is this happening? This is the stuff that's stopping me, because anything I want, I can literally have. It's just this stuff that's in the way, this conversation, that trigger, anything that we have.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Joanna.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because when you look at other women who really, it looks like they're excelling in their life. And it's true. I mean, so many women have accomplished extraordinary things. And there's two ways to look at that, because as Joanna said in the very beginning, our goal here is not just, again, to help you get the goal, because really the goal just gives you access to the growth, right? You set the goal so you can start moving in the direction, but then really what you're doing is growing as a human being. And a lot of the times, if women set goals and are moving towards something without doing the growth along the way, they get that goal, but then they sacrifice so much in so many other categories, like their health, like their relationship. And it's important to understand that when we think about balance, because that's such a big question for women in terms of how do you get more balance in your life? And some people say, it's by getting a better schedule, it's by getting support, it's really about understanding what's in the way, the limitations that you set for yourself, and all the things that start coming up, to work on that along the way so that you're clearing the path for more joy and fulfillment along with the accomplishments.
Exactly. And that's like what Tanya was saying before about the courageous living mindset. That's the work. That's then the work we need to do. Because if we don't do that work, it continues to create blocks, keeps us stuck, keeps us not moving, and keeps us literally going, why is this not happening in my life? I'm doing everything, but why is it not happening?
Yeah. So now we're going to make this real for you. So, for the women that are joining us on this call, I think there's like hundreds of you actually. So it's pretty exciting. We've got a great conversation that's going very, very rich. You're already very accomplished women. If you're on the WXN call, you're women who are absolutely intentional for your life. You've already come and done great things. You're already, whether you know it or not, a massive source of inspiration, an example for others, and all these good things. And then again, just to show you that we're also human, there's still areas of your life where you want to move forward and continue to experience blocks. And it's interesting because a person might look at you and think, you don't have any problems getting that. Look at all you've done. But then that's the whole point. Just because you've got strengths in one area doesn't mean that those translate into every area, because where you're feeling the blocks, like Joanna said, or where you're feeling the resistance, etc., that's what's revealing where the work is for you. So let's just make this fun. So you see the hands in front of you. If you can put your hands in front of you, like stretched out, just like you see in our photo there. What we'd like you to do is think about a specific goal that you have now in your life, something that you've been working on for quite some time. It could be personal or professional, something that's really important to you. Honestly, like for you, this would be a massive win if you got it personally or professionally. Just think about that goal, what that is for you. You may even want to write it in the chat if you want. Maybe do that actually. If you can take a minute actually and just write it in the chat, what some of this is. It's all anonymous at this point. So whatever you write in the chat, it's all basically anonymous kind of thing. So just write in the chat, like what's a specific goal that you might have just in the bullet point. Okay, great.
Or in your notebook, on your piece of paper.
Oh, thank you. We've just got, as this is being recorded, may I share the recording link with my daughter? This will be so valuable for her in her future personal. Of course, absolutely. Please share this with everyone. This is for everyone Definitely. Okay, so my own business, purchasing a commercial space, getting a life partner, launching an export company, writing my book, relatively speaking, good for you. Finish my darn long suffering novel, right? I know. It's just the day you decide to write a book, it's like punishment. Every other day you're thinking, I should be writing it. Pay off credit card debt, move back to Germany, live life on my own terms, attracting artists to my artist journey course, go public and launch my business, launch my digital marketing business. Exactly. Great. Losing my last 10 pounds. Great. So you can see that's great. Full control of my company. Perfect. Like keep putting it in there. That's excellent. So you've got some really big things here for yourself, which is amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that stuff. So
thank you, ladies.
let's take a nice deep breath in. Okay. And with your hands outstretched, we're going to share with you 10 symptoms of self-sabotage. And with every one of them, you don't have to write them down. Don't worry, they'll be available for you and stuff. But with every one of them, everything that pertains to you, just fold in one finger. So basically, when we state one that
resonates with you,
that resonates exactly, that's real for you in your life, just fold in one finger. Okay, so we're
going to get you to just shut your eyes so you can just be present to yourself. So think about your goal, what you wanted in your life, and just, you've got your fingers outstretched, but you can just shut your eyes. You're in your own space. And as Tanya said, to just fold one under, and we'll read each symptom. So we've got our goals. Good. Okay, so number one. So just, again, seeing if it resonates with you, if you've seen that show up in your life. I get off to a great start, and as soon as I see concrete results, I slow down or stop. Number two, I put off what's important until the last minute. Then I rush to get it done and feel annoyed at myself for creating such pressure on myself and not giving myself enough time. I feel confident until I compare my results to others. Then I doubt my abilities. I get distracted by other tasks, phone calls, emergencies, or requests from others and avoid my priorities. I feel the need to take care of everyone and everything else before I get to my priorities.
I feel that everything in my life needs to be in order and perfect before I start something new or important in my life. I get tired and feel the need to sleep or eat when I'm overwhelmed. I make a commitment and then I hear myself sabotaging my results with phrases such as, I'll do it later. I have a goal, but the moment I get excited about it, I feel defeated and say things like, why bother? It's never going to happen. What's the use? It's not going to work for me. I want to move forward, but I hear myself say, I don't have the time or the energy or the money or the resources to do it now. And a bonus, when things start moving, I feel anxious and panicked about what's coming next. Okay, so before you move or do anything, you can just slowly open your eyes and keep your hands in the position that you've got them. So if we were in a large conference, we'd ask everyone to raise their hands so that you could look around and surely see that so many of the women had either all or many or some at least of these, fingers down. So if you want to write in the chat, like if you had some or you, I'm sure it pertains to you, quite honestly. If you think about you being in the driver's seat of your car and needing to put all 10 fingers on the steering wheel to feel like you've got full command of your journey, and then looking at how many of these fingers have been folded in because you are feeling the effects of self-sabotage, you've got to be asking yourself, why?
So when we look at this, and we thank you for the ladies who are giving their comments there, of showing, it's funny what somebody just said, I'm driving with two pinky fingers. Yeah, so when we think about this, it's like, that's the thing, like all of this is stopping us. And we just pick some conversations. There's so many other conversations that could be going on, or experiences that you have that stop you or slow you down. So for us to be able to look at that and understand these things, and when we look at, so why are we stopping ourselves from the very thing that we want to achieve? Like, why is this happening to us? And to be able to understand that, you know, it is those voices. Like, notice all of those conversations that we had for you. Underneath is all of a sudden a thought. There's going to be a thought under there. Even when ladies are saying here, yeah, I put everybody else first. So that's a belief system, some sort of conversation like, oh, I have to take care of everybody else first. Or, oh, I have to be perfect. I have to have it all figured out before I start. We start identifying our conversations that are actually getting in the way. So we want all you ladies, and we've done this exercise so many times, which is so important, to be able to identify those negative conversations. So this may seem a little bit negative at first that we're doing this, but it's so important for us to get these out in the open, because then you discover your blocks that are truly getting in the way and causing the results that you have in your life. So we want you to think about that specific goal that you were talking about and make it more personal. So we created some of these conversations for you to look at, or what things that might stop you. But now you think about, what is the negative chatter in association with that goal that you have that comes up. So to write those down on your piece of paper, your journal, wherever it is, what is the specific negative conversation? You know, and even if I'm not good enough, I don't have enough money, whatever they are for you.
Yeah. Or even something as simple as, I'm not ready. You know, I mean, some of you in the chat were saying, I can so relate, just a couple of fingers on my steering wheel, I feel the anxiety. You know, I'm driving with 7 fingers, but that's pretty good. You know, I'm only driving with one hand on the wheel. So like Joanna said, think about a specific negative thing that you might say to yourself, or a limiting thing.
And you know, these are the things that are stopping you. So to really be courageous, write those down, because we're going to do an exercise with your conversations. We're going to give you a moment to write down your negative conversations, your negative thoughts. What are they? So even to just try, make sure, like, I mean, some people will just be flowing with some of them, but just at least to get, you know, a good 3 of them down there.
Okay. And if you can, you know, try to make it like a statement, like I am, or there is not, like an actual, rather than just like a bullet point, like some of you are writing like what ifs, try to make it a specific statement, because the next piece of the exercise, you know, gives you an opportunity to break through this. So it's really important that it's just really relevant to you.
Mm-hmm. Because even some of the ladies were saying, even having a relationship. So, you know, what are those conversations?
That's right.
There's no good men.
Yeah. Getting
all men are commitment phobic.
We can teach you all about that one. No, I was kidding.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it's like, or, you know, getting $100,000 salary. It's like, okay, in this economy, oh my gosh, you know, that type of thing. Opening up when everyone's closing down, this kind of thing. Okay.
So we're sure that you've got some for yourself. So what we want you to do is pick one, the worst one, the most detrimental conversation. Okay. So pick that one, circle that one, or put a star beside it, whatever, because we're going to use this one in this exercise. Okay. So ladies, we'd love you to just, you see the questions on the screen right now, but what we'd like you to do is just shut your eyes and ignore those questions at the moment. So if you could do that for yourself and just get into that space of shutting your eyes and actually thinking about that conversation. And let me ask you those questions specifically so that you can relate to it and feel it inside. And then we're going to talk about that. And we want you to chat and tell us how you feel and what comes up for you. Okay, ladies, so say that statement in your mind, that negative chatter, that negative thought, that negative conversation. Now, answer just the first thing that comes to your mind, yes or no. Is it true? Is it absolutely true? Like 100%. There's no other possibility. It's absolutely true. Is it absolutely true? Now, number 3, how do you feel when you think that thought? How does it make you feel when you think that thought? Just keep in that thinking place. You don't need to write anything down right now. And then what, and even so in that, how do you feel when you think that thought? But it's also like, what shows up in your life? What starts happening? How does your life look when you think that thought? Your life, your business, your love life, your anything. And really get present to that. And then who would you be without that thought? So be in that place. You've got your eyes shut. Who would you be without that thought? If it was completely gone, it was not there, you didn't believe it, who would you be? Okay, lovely ladies. So you can open your eyes now, and in the handout that we sent as well, it has those 4 questions. So it's a very powerful exercise to be able to always keep, because you can apply that to all of your conversations that are now on that page. And we encourage you to do that afterwards and do that exercise with them. But we're now going to really get into this and talk, and we'd love you to share in this part. So that one question that we asked you, so even in the, is it true? For some people, even in that moment, you can say, okay, no, it's not really true. But a lot of people would say, yeah, it's true. This is what's happening to me. This is how I feel. Okay. And then the next one, is it absolutely true? Most people at that point will say, I guess it's not 100%. Of course, it's not 100%. And yet there still might be some of you who even say, yes, it still is 100% true. Like you've believed this. This is your belief and it feels 100% true for you. But now as we get into this next question, so how do you feel when you think that thought? So ladies, share. Put that down if you can. Share with us. How do you feel when you think that thought?
Sorry. There we go.
And yeah, and what happens in your life, or what's, so we've got some lovely ladies making some comments.
Yeah. So I'm going to, okay, perfect. So if I don't see to everyone else's needs, I can't go first. And that, okay. So it basically, I feel lazy, lousy, unaccomplished. I feel small without a voice. I feel discouraged. I feel scared, defeated. I feel very small and hidden. I feel panic in my mind. Very
good. And, you know, even someone also said feeling very, the future looks so uncertain. So again, that's like fear.
Yeah.
Right. Then all of a sudden we get into one of the most important, you know, there's the 4 fears in life that really affect everyone. And one of that fear of the unknown, that uncertainty truly creates so much fear going forward.
We've got, I approach the goal dragging my feet, and that projects poor energy and reflects poor energy and, you know, even leadership, right? I feel unworthy and incapable. I feel tired and low energy. I have trouble making decisions. I just give up and I feel really sad, feeling powerless. I procrastinate. I'm sabotaging myself. I get anxious. I worry. It stops me from doing things. I get upset, sometimes angry and frustrated. It makes me angry that my book wouldn't be good enough to actually wants me to, you know, it actually wants me to make everyone else wrong and blame others. I start getting overwhelmed. I go in circles. I spend too much time on the computer, wasting time. I'm scared to be vulnerable. I fail to act to advance my goal. It's my key source of procrastination. I feel angry. I get depressed and withdrawn. I eat every carbohydrate in the house. Exactly.
I'm sure many of us can relate to
I haven't
those.
seen any alcohol yet. You know, but I worry that I worry if I can do it, and I worry about what's next. And and so many people are saying I can identify with a lot of those statements.
Yeah.
Like,
And this is what's so good, as bad as it is to hear them all, you know, but don't you feel good that you're all sisters here in this? So, you know, everybody feels this. This is normal. This is normal. But to be able to identify this and realize, like, wow, when I perpetrate those thoughts, it's like self-abuse, because it destroys you. It destroys everything going forward. It destroys your power, your motivation, your dreams. It destroys everything. So thinking that thought. So now we want to share those. So in that moment, when you're in that place, and thank you so much, ladies, for putting all those things down and sharing with us. We really appreciate it. So now, who would you be without that thought? So where did you get to when you realize, like, who would you be when that thought is gone? Please tell us, who would you be? Love it. Energetic, powerful, a force, powerful, free, living an uninhibited life, true to myself, living my own life from the inside out. A published author, yeah, woohoo. I would be someone young, vibrant, energetic, and passionate. Absolutely. Confident. I would be a writer, whether a good one or a crappy one. That's good. You would be it. Braver and more confident, and myself, liberated and weightless, real. I would be bigger, bolder, feel free to express myself, unstoppable. Look at these beautiful comments, okay? And we can see, obviously, from all of these ladies, and they keep coming in, it's beautiful. It would be freeing. I would give to myself instead of everyone else. Yes, you'd make yourself a priority. I'm a priority. Wouldn't we do that? Unlimited. Okay, beautiful. So ladies, it's like, look at that. That statement is going to be so important for us. We need to be able to understand, like, look at how you could feel that shift right away. So we encourage you to keep these 4 statements, and that was from Byron Katie's book, Loving What Is, the 4 questions that can change your life. They can, because in a moment, this is where we're talking about the conscious mind is such a powerful tool as well to decide, no, delete this negative conversation. Just like a computer, because our brain is like a computer, delete. No, who would I be without that thought? In that moment, there's a paradigm shift for who we are and what we could achieve, because don't you feel it now, that power within yourself? And again, it's that conscious awareness, that tool to just realize you have the ability to shift it in a moment. So again, what was in the way was that negative conversation. And that, again, we see is why it is the way. We have to be able to look at it, get it out of our head and realize, what am I up against? What am I telling myself? What am I talking about? And when we can identify it and recognize, oh, right, this is the one I need to work on. I need to get this out of the way, and we can switch it around immediately with this exercise.
Exactly. Right. So for when you talked about having the courage to write the book, right, and that just energizes you, and then to thinking that my book won't be as good, or I can't do it, or, you know, whatever those examples are that everyone truly identified with. After that comes the anger, right? That's the problem, is that, you know, when we talk about the work, it's like when you stop yourself from doing what you want, like if you think about it, you want something and someone says no to you, you know, after giving it your best shot, the very next step after that is anger. It's like, why? And you start getting really upset. And that's when we start to feel the inner struggle. And then the person we begin to blame is ourselves. And there's really 2 kind of different responses that we have to it. Either we because fear is triggered, you have the fight or flight, but with yourself. So either you fight yourself and you in the end, you're like, I hate myself, because you're just so frustrated with the inability to move forward. And it's like you're running in circles. You're doing every little task. You're at the bottom of the chip bag. You're like, like, what's wrong with me? Like, this is what we want you to get. It's like, this feeling is so human. It's so normal. And you can sit in that for so long, like years. Literally, you can be in a place of anger with yourself. Or, the other thing is that you get like very defeated. You just think, oh God, what is the use? There's no point. There's just like, I'm not even going to bother setting the goal. Like and then you almost wish like you could just get rid of it, because it's like a burden now in your life.
Right.
You think, what if I get it wrong? And then you just think, God, why can't I just be happy with a smaller life or whatever, but that's the thing. It's like this inner conflict is so time consuming. Honestly.
It is. And also, Tanya, just one of our lovely ladies was courageous to even write down everything in line with what you're saying, but even that getting so mad that she's yelling at her business partner.
Right.
I'm definitely angry. So there's the thing. That's the other thing we can do, is start taking it out on other people, because of this anger and how it feels for us. So it can be all sorts of yourself, again, which then creates more negative conversations when you're angry at yourself, but we can be taking it out on other people.
Yeah. And you know what, just to get into the like finer pieces of it, because we're going to take you through another exercise. Obviously, we're going to leave you from this very empowered and, with some great skills and tools and stuff. But we just want you to know, it's like when you set the goal and you feel like you can't get it for whatever reason, that anger and resentment builds and builds. And so does also the sadness. The sadness builds, right? And those emotions are often left unchecked because everyone asks us how we're doing. And we think because we're fed and clothed and well, we're fine. You know what I mean? Like we have to be grateful because gratitude is really important. And so we get into this place where we kind of use gratitude like a nail polish, like over top of everything to make it all look pretty. But underneath, we're really not dealing with whatever's truly happening. And for so many of the women that had written in the chat to say, I do feel like I need to take care of everyone and then I come last. And that is legitimate. I mean, if you have a family, if you have aging parents, if you have all these different things, right, what ends up happening is that you do sacrifice yourself, and then the anger and resentment builds towards, you know, even your family members. So you can't even enjoy the people you're taking care of because you feel they're in your way. And that's when we start getting disconnected. And that's when we talk about the doing, done. The going, gone. You don't know who you are anymore or even what you want because you felt defeated or put yourself on the back burner for so long. Or like it's, you know, and someone actually just wrote, Sandy said, we become too comfortable with the pain because we know how to deal with it better from experience. Absolutely.
Yeah.
God, you know, and that's the thing. It's like when you think about the future is uncertain, that is a fact. And you know what? That's actually good news. Good news, the future is uncertain, which is great because that way you have the opportunity to carve it out for yourself because you're the one writing the next chapter of your life. But, you know, this work is about, like, the courageous living mindset is about realizing that your power in the situation, you know, is to declare the goal and do the work. So the minute that things start to fall apart and you start to get really triggered by all of this, or whatever space you're in now, taking that deep breath in. Exactly. You know, understanding that the choice that you have is who you realized you were without that thought. It's like all of a sudden you realize, hey, I've got access to something different here. And then moving towards that access. So it's like stepping out of the reality that you're in now and literally moving into something more powerful.
And so don't get comfortable. Like, as that, like Sandy said there, it's like, unfortunately, we get into that comfort zone and then that becomes our new regular situation in life. So we want to make sure, this is why it's so important to identify this when we're getting into that state of thinking, that state. And even if it is the anger, as Tanya mentioned, and the sadness and all of those things, or just this feeling like defeated, that we have to recognize we're in a pain state, we're in a struggling state, we're in resistance, there's something going on. And so why is this happening?
Yeah. And right now we're sort of under the kind of COVID cove, right? It's like, okay, well, everything kind of chalks up to having had this, you know, huge, like, shut in, and everything is different. So, I mean, now you've really got the perfect excuse. Well, I can't start my business because look at the circumstances. I can't write my book because I got 5 kids at home. Or, you know, you've got every kind of excuse in the world right now to, not excuse, but reason, truly. And they are good reasons. It's just that we really are thrilled at this point to be talking about this conversation, because this is where you might actually get comfortable with the pain and think, well, you know what, I'm actually safer here than I am living my best life. And the thing is, when you're able to truly be happy and live that best life and, you know, get into that place where you're able to be self-expressed. And again, it's not about writing the book. It's about honoring your story. It's about, you know, having self-expression. If you want the digital course, think of all the thousands of people that will one day benefit from that potentially aren't right now. So fear in and of itself is actually a very selfish emotion, in that it forces us to really just think about ourselves in the moment and not wanting to feel what we think is even more pain. And, you know, if you think about this conversation right now, this is really interesting, because in the beginning we said, when you set a goal, you're calling forth the breakdown. Just like renovation. You think, oh, I want to renovate my kitchen, but gosh, I really don't feel like living through, you know, all the dust and da-da-da, so I put it off, right? But then you don't get the kitchen. And it's the same thing in your life. It's like, I want to make changes, but I don't feel like going through the renovation. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, but we can experience it a little differently, but there's some part of you that knows that there's some part of you that has to face the pain of growing into your bigger self. And that's what feels so terrifying. And so when we look at the cognitive behavioral model in terms of how psychologically, like the model of how your mind creates results, if we were to ask you, what do you think comes first, an emotion or a thought? What do you think comes first? Based on the exercise even that we did, what do you think comes first, that feeling or the thought? You can write into the chat maybe like thought comes first, emotion comes first. That's Nancy. Hi, Nancy. Thought. Good. So you know what? You'll notice that when Joanna did the exercise, like how do you feel when you think that thought? And that's the thing, you know, if we understand that it's the thoughts that create the emotions, and if you look inside the word emotion, you can see the word motion if you take the E off of it. Our emotions really dictate how we move through life, and that moves into our actions, right? So, you know, the feelings, like Sandy said, we may be wired differently, which means we feel first and understand later. But it's like the emotion lasts so long. Like we get a bad text or a bad phone call, bad news, and that could take 1 second, but the emotion of it is very lasting. Okay. That's why they say people don't remember what you say or do. They remember how you made them feel, but it's the source of it is still the thought, right? So ultimately your thoughts create your emotions drive the nature of your action. That's why we said in Courageous Living, it's like you can declare the goal and you also have to have the courage to go for it. But what if you send an email feeling defeated? Ugh, what's the point of me even sending this? I don't even know why I'm bothering. Or, you know, you're going to have a conversation to ask for what you want, but you come to it angry, you know, or blaming. Like the emotion that you bring to any action that you have is what will determine the results. That's why this work is super important. And when we look at,
and even if I could just add one little thing there, Tanya, and as even with somebody was mentioning, because a lot of people do feel that that is the first thing. It's only because we recognize something's off when we're in the emotion state. But the thought is so fast. And to just be able to understand that your subconscious mind, scientists know this, like neuroscientists who study this, it's 1,000,000 times faster than your logical frontal cortex, logical, rational thinking brain. Okay, so this is the problem. The thought comes first. You read the text, you read the email, and it's like, oh, I'm not going to get the job. They don't like me. It's immediate, the thought, and then immediately the feeling comes, the emotion comes afterwards. So the wisdom is, as it was even mentioned there, yes, to be able to understand, at least to go back and realize, oh, what was my thought? What was I thinking in that moment that threw me into the emotion? And as Tanya is going to continue with all the rest of it that follows.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a much bigger conversation. Obviously, we wanted to just give you the kind of you know, the superficial kind of go through of it, because we're really interested in the exercises and how this works for you. But if you think about it, it's like, you don't sit there thinking, gee, I want something now. You basically just go to the cupboard and like start, you know, eating all the carbohydrates one after the other. And you may even think to yourself, I shouldn't be doing this. Wouldn't that be a powerful enough thought to prevent you from actually putting your hand back in the bag? That would be awesome. You know, but the problem is that, like Joanna said, the subconscious mind is like 1,000,000 times faster. So whatever is happening in the space in your mind that has not been explored is what we're talking about. You know, it's not just the command that you're saying, like Joanna said, consciously. It's the fact that there's something going on that's forcing you to act a certain way. And that's what's creating the results in your life. So we're going to open up the floor for you. Like, we've just gone through quite a bit of stuff. So before we move on to the next piece about identifying breakdowns and making this, you know, even more relevant for you, let's just take a nice deep breath in. And we'd like to have you, you know, ask some questions, or specifically, like, you know, in relation to a goal that you might have. If there's any questions, we're going to give you an opportunity here just to ask or say anything you like. And then
just even your comments of what you've gotten so far, if there's something in that place. Okay, so we have some comments there. Questions, Tanya?
Questions. Okay. Oh yeah, here we go.
Oh no, I think those were there before. Okay.
Here we go. I think everyone's just like, okay, I'm here. Now what do I do with myself? Is fear of success a thing? Okay.
100%.
Yeah. So fear of success is actually what happens when you've had a fear of failure for such a long time. Eventually that turns into the fear of success, because it moves you like, well, what if this and what if that? And then finally you're like, well, then if I actually do it, then I have to be responsible for so much more work. And I don't even know if I want all of that. That just sounds like it's all so hard and overwhelming. So it's like, it all stems from the fear of trying something new, because you're worried about failure. Eventually that turns into the fear of success. And then we've got Kristen. How valuable is working with someone else on this for accountability versus just being with yourself? Oh, massive. That's the whole point. It's like we really say get out of isolation and into conversation, because even just being able to talk some of this stuff out loud helps you understand, wow, like what am I even saying to myself? And that's when we talk about, like in courageous living, having these courageous friends. Like when someone's listening to you, they're not just saying, girl, you got it. Don't you be so hard on yourself, but they say, I've really noticed in your, like, I'm really noticing that you're saying this, for example, or that you can't do it, or that he won't let you, or that it's not the right time, or that you don't have the right, circumstances.
Exactly.
Okay, good reminder of the basics. What if you don't have someone that's on your level that's close with you to do it? Yeah. How can we change our thoughts? They often just happen automatically. Okay, good. Yeah, we want to hear what your questions are, if you have any. Okay, so that we can continue to tailor the rest of this to you, but we're going to explain that. We're going to talk about where they come from.
Mm-hmm. And of course it is, remember, that's a vision. Then what you just asked for, what if you don't have someone on your level that's close to you to do that? Mm-hmm. Then that's what you're asking for. Just ask for it. That's your new vision. I want a community that, and a friend, even a close friend or a mentor that actually is that person who will call me on my stuff, who'll be able to notice sort of things, those things. And the other question as well, how can you change our thoughts? There's different ways we do it. Obviously, like therapy, coaching, things like that, to really get them out in the open so you know what they are is a big part of it. And yes, you're right, they happen automatically. That's our subconscious mind programming what we've had from our whole life of creating all sorts of core beliefs. And Tanya's going to talk about this in a minute, but it is just this distinction we want you to be able to have and really, really tap into. Notice what you're saying. Just get good at it. Get noticing that you're saying that, even if it is identifying it from the feeling that all of a sudden, why do I all of a sudden feel sick to my stomach? Or why do I all of a sudden feel nervous? Why do I feel off? Why is something not happening? Dig in, start going into what was the thought? What am I thinking? Because that's where we need to start changing those thoughts. And whether it is affirmations, new things, the work that I do, I know personally, is like literally in that area of rewiring those negative subconscious core beliefs, which is doing a little bit of more of the deeper work. But there are all of those things that can be done.
Okay. Yeah. And that's why we love the WXN so much. Honestly, the Women's Executive Network has been a part of our lives for years and years. I think since 2013 for me personally, as alumni, but it's so important to come to the events and have these vulnerable conversations. And I think that's the hard part when we talk about work in general, because now, more vulnerable conversations are becoming, timely, but at the same time you think, well, I don't want to let people know how I'm really feeling. So where do you do it? And it's in these vulnerable moments. And that's why we're working together with WXN and Courageous Living to open up and have space and have a proper platform for this type of conversation. So Sandy's got, why is being able to articulate a goal so hard? I feel as though the SMART criteria, like specific, measurable, et cetera, shuts me down so quickly. I can't even measure up to just doing that. Someone else, Heather's, I need to step back from my own goals. My 15-year-old daughter was diagnosed with brain cancer. Oh my gosh, we just are loving you through this process. We are so, so, so sorry. And I'm not interested in doing anything but being there for her. Joanna can talk about that.
That is the priority in your life right now. That's where you do shut everything down, and there's no guilt about anything else. This is the most important thing in your life. Absolutely. So just make sure there's no inner chatter saying anything else is more important, because nothing else is important at this point in your life.
That's right.
Bless your heart that you're having to go through that. Yeah. And being supported would be a part of your vision, what you need right now to get support and having those things around you, and the other things they need to go away. or even if
Yeah.
it's delegating to other people to help you through this. There's so many questions in here that I know we can talk about later, Tanya, as we go along, because these are a lot of things that, I'm dying to get into all of those, but unfortunately we don't have the time, because there's so many answers to these that, I mean, this is what Tanya and I do with Courageous Living. We do have that support system for women in those things. When you see those blocks and they're constantly happening, you need to be able to dig into those and find out, what is that block? Why is it continuing to happen? And this is what we're all about.
Okay. So what we're going to do is so how do you change the expectations of others? Because I always tend to everyone else first. They assume the state must be my job. And if I don't do it, they tell, management, and I'm not doing my job, this type of thing. So I've seen my peers in management takes my internal coworkers and internal customers. Okay, so good. Thank you so much. And keep writing stuff in, because we're going to save this chat even so that we can answer all of these questions in an email to follow up. But I think you're going to see a lot of these questions answered, as Joanna said, in the next piece of it. So one of the things to consider is that, okay, so where does this come from? Why is this happening to us? Why is this such a human experience? And this is where, we don't want to get super technical about it, but when we wrote our book, Undermined, discovering the 7 subconscious beliefs that sabotage your life and how to overcome them, and you'll learn more about that in the book club in November, but we realized that self-sabotage was not an act. Most people think, okay, it's procrastination, like it's a thing, or, oh, I'm avoiding, like it's one thing, or I'm, resisting. So it really breaks down into 7 steps. There's a blueprint, a neuronal blueprint that happens, that manifests in your mind. And this is where we start moving into the deeper work. It's about recognizing that first and foremost, what determines our blueprint for self-sabotage is actually a survival strategy. It's a survival strategy. The negative inner chatter that you hear is actually there to protect you. So in the very beginning, we have a defining moment in our life. Something happens, and it creates this immediate awareness that like something's wrong. And sometimes that defining moment could be really positive, and it actually creates a super positive belief that you think, no, I can do anything, excuse me. But the negative limiting ones are often in a traumatic defining moment, either for yourself or one that you've witnessed. And it's in that moment that you make a decision about yourself, like I am, as well as you make a decision about other people, like I am, others are, and especially the world. So we want you to consider that when something like this happens, traumatizing, even now, people are going to be walking out with defining moments because COVID is closing businesses down, et cetera, this shutdown. They're going to make a decision about themselves instantly, about others, and then the world at large. And that will continue to write their future. And when you make this decision, it creates a perception of reality. Your mind basically takes a blanket generalization, like it's the truth in every single circumstance. And Joanna's going to give you an example of this, like with a story in a minute. But when you think about a perception of reality, it's like this is the way it is. So let's say, for instance, even in a present day, if someone had something and their business basically shut down during COVID, the decision they'd make about themselves is, you know what, I'm not a good leader. I wasn't prepared, or about others, or my team wasn't, there, or the government isn't supportive, or the world isn't safe. I can't do it. The perception is it's not safe to have a business. And then a neuronal part actually fuses in your brain. Literally the neurons come together and they attach to other parts of the brain that have other definitions of success or self. And so it's not like I failed my business, but then it becomes a generalization called I am a failure, right? And the neuronal part, it's like a little part of you, has a survival strategy to deal with it. So if somebody walks away from this experience and says, it's not safe to do business, and yet entrepreneurship is all they want, or no, or it's not safe to speak out, whatever that thing is, every time you think of having another business idea or, sharing some part of you that's vulnerable, the little part of you will communicate with negative inner chatter like, don't do it, don't say it, don't start it. You know what happened last time, don't be ridiculous. And this absolutely pertains to love, to money, to security, to every aspect of your life. Or If you're not a person that has a lot of negative inner chatter, often it communicates in physical symptoms like migraines or backache, or, a lot of people struggle with,
Fatigue.
pardon, fatigue.
Fatigue.
Exactly. Like many of you noticed in the chat, you were saying, I feel tired, I feel empty, I feel like I just want to sleep all the time. So it's literally taking you out, this part, because it doesn't want you to move forward so that you don't feel more pain. And then that just starts.
And fear.
Exactly. And that starts sabotaging patterns in your life, and then ultimately the results in your life. Joanna, do you want to share anything more about that?
Well, because we only have about 20 minutes left and we have some more things to do, I think we're going to have to forego that, other than the fact that we've had the ladies kind of sharing, even in the chat, the ones that they can almost see it. It's like there's a belief system. It's the ones that you identified even that are here, that they're in the way and they're producing. You already see it. You're producing it. It starts affecting your life, or you're not producing it. So, and this is, there's so many experiences we have that when we've, from that defining moment, and even if it's just somebody in school made the wrong answer and they put their hand up and everybody laughed at them, it was the wrong answer. When you're 8 years old, that's a traumatic experience for an 8-year-old in the moment. We laugh at it as an adult, go, oh, bless her heart, no problem. But when you're 8, it's the whole world's looking at you and laughing at you, making fun of you. It's like, oh, you're stupid. It's not the truth, but unfortunately we make it the truth. And then now we have this thing that we want to lay low, stay under the radar, don't be seen. It could be embarrassing. Don't risk. So starting a business or doing what you want to do, those kind of conversations can get in your way. And so we want to get, and so we're going to talk a lot more about that as Tanya was mentioning as well, when WXN has the book club event, the virtual book club, and we're doing it in November. So we'd love you to join us for that, and we'll do some more and some more exercises and discuss it a little bit more. So what we want to really get though right now is, so this is so powerful, this conscious mind. Our conscious mind has the goal that we see in the picture. It's like, I have a weight goal and this is what I want to do, but here's the problem. Our subconscious mind is like, to heck with that, tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, or it doesn't matter. You know what? It's not going to work anyway. Oh, just one. So we continually get into that place where then we're in an unconscious behavior and it happens so fast for us. And then we just like get thrown right into that event. So we have to really understand that as it says here, the world that we've created, Einstein has said that the world we have created is a product of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. And you were able to do that even today with that exercise, being able to understand who would you be without that thought. It empowered you. It gave you access to how powerful this is. This is very powerful to change it in the moment and to say something different. But we also get that this part is really powerful. So if we are identifying now that we have some major core beliefs that are really, really getting us and attacking us and really creating the same results over and over and over again, then we want you to reach out and get support in this, and whether it's to do deeper work in that area, because this is part of what we're talking about in the courageous living mindset. Do you have the courage to go deeper and figure out where is that? Where did that happen? Grow up that conversation, because you're not 8 anymore, or you're not 5, or you're not 10. And yet, unfortunately, it's in there. So we need to do that extra.
Yeah, exactly. And we put that quote from Einstein in there just to show you, like, I mean, you've heard this stuff before. This has now become mainstream. Oh, change your thoughts, change your life. It's like, God, it would be great if it was that easy, right? It's simple, but it's not easy. And that's why we've created such a very specific structured system to get you through that. Like, how do you now get out of your head and into your best life? How do you create sustainable change? Okay. And this is why we also have the courageous living skill set. So the mindset is about, first and foremost, understanding the principle that you can be, do, and have anything you want. And this means, ladies, irrespective of the circumstances. It means irrespective of the circumstances. This is an unconditional truism. Despite all odds, and this is when you look at the heroes in life, you think, gosh, look at the women and people in history who were able to achieve above and beyond, or innovate, or create cures, or, I mean, the people that really go and make big changes in the world to push us forward, or even small steps forward, were those people that were willing to see it differently and believe it despite all of life's obstacles. So we really have it in every one of us. The question is, will you be stopped, or will you have the courage to do the work both inside and outside, okay, to keep yourself growing? And it's not as easy as it seems, because it requires a structured approach. The first thing is, like Joanna said, understanding who you'd be without that thought. So really, like thinking about things in your house when you're decluttering. Many of you have decluttered already at this point. You've taken something away and you think, oh, I can breathe. It just feels so much better now that that thing's gone, and that's really great. So for us, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, who would I be without that thought? So we're going to give you something to do at the end of this to be able to leverage what you got from that one exercise. But in the courageous living skill set, what we teach you to do is expand and strengthen your range of abilities to live your best life. Like for work, we've had to learn to communicate. We've had to learn to use the internet. There's a million skills we've learned along the way. And without those skills, you simply cannot move forward, including presentation skills. These are no different. They're skills that are simply not readily taught, but they're absolutely imperative. So what we did was we actually broke down, and Joanna's going to take us through this, but I just wanted to let you know, it's like where this comes from is that we actually took a goal and we divided it up into the 6 stages in the life cycle of a goal. What does it actually take to achieve a goal from the courageous living mindset into the thinking of it and the doing of it?
Exactly. And so as you can see, the 6 steps are basically, we do have a mentor circle. We call it the Courageous Living Mentor Circle. And we do this, it's a 6-month program. And so each month we take one of these goals. So of course, in number 1, it's in the inspired vision to actually write it down. Any of you ladies who explained, like, it's hard for you to actually figure out what it is you really want, or to even ask for it, or to be willing to receive it. For so many of us, we can ask for it, but then are you open enough to receive it? So to be able to do that, but also connect with lots of other women, beautiful women that are also on that journey, that really are courageous and want to create the best life that they want.
Joanna, sorry,
Yes.
just because I want to make this real for the ladies. Okay, let's again, one more time, let's just take a deep breath in, because I don't want to create more overwhelm with like a giant list of stuff to do. So let's just take a nice deep breath in, okay? Okay, so for you ladies, you've listed your goal already, right? You can think about this as Joanna's sharing it, right? This is like, here, you have it in front of you. This is it. Like, think about your inspired, not just the goal itself, but the vision. What would life look like if you had achieved it? So just take 1 second to just write one thing, like one outcome. If you got rid of the business partner, if you got the book published, if you launched the online thing, in the inspired vision, think about the overall outcome. Just write one word in this category. What would life look like? Okay. And in the next one, think about one step, like a tiny, tiny step, because as Joanna was saying, the next thing is to take it step at a time, but we think often as women, we need to take the whole staircase. It's like when we think it's one step, it's like put a website together. Oh my gosh, that's not one step. That's like 100 steps, right? Or, write an email. And Joanna's so good at breaking this down all the time, because it's not just writing an email. And if you're feeling confronted about it, it's like anytime you're feeling overwhelmed, this is the thing we teach you, how to break it down to the tiniest, 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 tiniest step. So that if you can just take one tiny step, even just write the introduction of the email, open it up on your computer, like one tiny step, because that's the thing. It's like you're going to feel overwhelmed as you move forward. If this is really big for you. So the courage is, first of all, to have the vision that becomes your lighthouse, that literally calls you forward. Because if you've got it in your head and it's not written down, what ends up happening is that you don't have the ability to move forward into the uncertain. You need to have a lighthouse in front of you, lighting your way forward calling you into your certain future. That's the difference of how this is. Instead of you pushing and forcing through life, it's about the vision calling you through and moving you into your new life. And in that one step at a time, it's like thinking, when you get off this call today, thinking about what is the tiniest step that you can do. And one of the things we do as women, we look back at the end of the day and we're like, I got nothing done. I did nothing, or I barely got anything done. And that's the thing. It's like, you know what? We need to start. If you want to practice gratitude, fantastic. Practice gratitude for the tiniest step you took in the right direction of your dreams. And that'll give you more momentum rather than feeding into the defeatist space, right? And, Joanna will share like the identifying the negative patterns, like by the third month, or once you start moving in the direction of your dreams, inevitably, as you move out of your comfort zone, in comes the inner chatter. So what happens in that one, Joanna?
Okay. Well, actually, Tanya, we really don't have time to continue this. So it's like,
is it because we have to do the breakdown exercise?
Hello. Yes. So I'm like really concerned here. Well, okay, well, we got to get going. So the ladies know those are the steps, and that's what we do in the mentor circle. We'll tell you a little bit about that in a moment.
Okay, slow down anyway. Just slow down.
These are the steps. These are the steps that we do. Okay. Mm-hmm. And one of them is turning breakdowns into breakthroughs. That's month number 4. So Tanya will just lead us into that.
Okay, so you know what we'll do is we'll give them an example. That's what you were going to. And I completely understand. We have just enough time to do it. No problem. So once you start your steps, okay, you're going to identify your negative patterns, which you saw kind of in the exercise we did above. But then the negative inner chatter or physical symptoms actually turn into breakdowns, which is what we're going to take you through in the next piece. Okay, so we want to show you how this skill works. So now what we want you to do is identify a breakdown. Okay. So if you think about it, when you are about to get a cold or something, you always think, okay, is that a tickle in my throat? My ear hurts, like some sort of symptom acts up, and you start thinking, okay, vitamin C, hot drink, bath, early to bed. Like you already have your protocol to deal with a physical breakdown. But what about when you have a mental, emotional breakdown in an area of achieving your goal? So we'd like you to think about, okay, what a symptom of your breakdown is. Like, is it all of a sudden you're eating everything? Is it all of a sudden that you're sleeping in and you just can't get up? Is it all of a sudden that you're starting to isolate? So take a minute and just write into the chat what a breakdown symptom might be for you. How do you know that all of a sudden you're in a place where, and breakdown for us is that feeling of being stuck, stopped. I can't move forward.
You're paralyzed, frozen. What does your life look like? What shows up in your world? So yes, we've got some overwhelm. Okay. My hair starts to fall out. That's even more scary. Indecision, walking around in circles.
Procrastination, feeling like what's the use?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, keep going. Mm-hmm.
But just to be able to write those down. And specific though. So you even, like, my heart pounds at night and wakes me up. So that's anxiety, right? But to also like really identify that. What does it really look like? Is there any physical thing you start doing? So when somebody was saying about walking around in circles, like I've just like start getting nowhere. Okay, what does it look like? Or are there other things that you actually start doing, as Tanya mentioned, like all of a sudden you drink more wine, eat more food, or you want to go to sleep, like actually, or you start, going on YouTube and just spending endless time there, or you're checking emails all the time. To be able to really nail it down to what is something that happens to you that you can identify and see, oh yeah, I'm watching TV way too long. I'm just like mindlessly doing it. Patterns that you see yourself doing, symptoms.
It's good. So yes, fall asleep. I'm not enjoying my runs. Exactly. Like your JPM, your joy per minute, starts to just spiral downwards, right? And where Joanna was saying it, like exactly, like try to figure out what the actual specific breakdown symptom is so that you can even see yourself like, hey, it's happening to me again, so that you can notice that you're in breakdown.
Good. So somebody even saying not present, right? So that's kind of like a numbing out, getting distracted, losing track of time. And that can happen with all sorts of different things. What exactly is it where you lose track of time? Is it just doing useless things on the internet when you wanted to do something more productive? Okay, again, this feeling of like running out of time. Okay, so it's pressure on yourself. Is it procrastination? There's all those things. hard to breathe, sometimes start shaking while I'm trying to fall asleep. Okay, so again, being able to identify what's going on there in the mind, to be able to inner chatter is a symptom, because what does it look like in your life? What are the results? So these are some of the results that it produces when you have those feelings and those things. That's what starts happening in your life. Okay, so we want to choose a breakthrough action to get you out of that state. You need to have a paradigm shift in a moment to be able to take yourself out of that state. So when you're, first of all, identify it. Oh, I'm doing it. I'm doing that thing again. Or all of a sudden I start, like, let's say you even have a project, especially now that we're at home, you have a project and all of a sudden you want to clean everything. And yet you do have a commitment to yourself to get something done. Even though that seems like a really good thing to do, is clean the whole house or start cleaning out under the bed, you know, or is it just a distraction? So to be able to notice these things, and when you're in them, then now what can you do to turn it around? Break your state. So we have some ideas just to kind of move this along, where it's like things like where it's just even take a deep breath, get present. You notice that when all of a sudden you are like running, or not present, to just take a nice big, as Tanya and I talk about, the oxy breath, which is like, you look around, you realize you're here in the moment. Just that step alone can make such a big difference for us. Go get a glass of water, you know, put on a song, dance it out for one song, just one empowering song that you choose, that can get you out of that state. We have to be able to create something that snaps us out of it. You know, some people are like, you know, and they've even done that because it just feels like, oh yes, I'm conscious. Does that not get you conscious in the moment? And to realize, what are your goals? What do you want? So having a breakthrough action.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share on that, Tanya?
I was just going to say, I think that's so relevant. You know, I mean, I put on Destiny's Child, I'm a Survivor, you know, or like, it's really important, okay, especially for this time that we're in shutdown, right? We're starting to open up. Make sure that you have a power song that you play to kind of tune yourself and your mind. And if you know, like Joanna said, getting the glass of water, going for a walk, sitting down, writing in just a 15-minute goal list. Like, that's it. In the next 15 minutes, this is the one thing I'm going to do right now. But often, isn't playing the song a distraction too? Not when you need a moment to like recalculate. Like, let's say you're just sitting there and you can't move, you can't even get into the rhythm. It's almost like it's something that just starts you up, right? But if you feel like, whether it's physical symptoms of anxiety, the breathing, you know, listening to something empowering, what we're talking about is just, you need to be able to raise your energy level and get out of that place into a new place. So we're going to tie this up for you kind of in a 3-step process in a minute. But the breakthrough action is important because, again, often we get into this place where we are being hostaged by this part of us that's kind of running it. And then it's days and you can't get a proper sleep. So there's got to be sometimes, and the other thing too that you can do is like writing yourself a letter, just to understand what's going on. It's like, dear me, I love you. I just want you to know I'm here to support you. What, you know, and don't keep asking those what's wrong with me questions. It's not going to get you any closer, but just start like journaling in there. There's so many answers to this, but you know, let's just get you to the next piece of it so that you can see where.
And again, as Tanya and I were just mentioning, though, it just needs to be a paradigm shift, just something. Just to get you into a different state of mind. And even if it's just, for me, I even find here, I just have to get up and stand up and even just shake my body. Just something is like, oh, I'm just like a zombie here, like continually one email after the next or one call after the next. It's like, for me, it is go to the kitchen. I need to go to the kitchen when I realize there's another world over there in the kitchen. So it's being able to just get that state where you say, oh yeah, I had other goals. I had other things to do here. So even if you ladies want to write that down in the chat, we sure the other ladies would love to know if there's something for you that comes up, that it's like, just to get your thinking different and realize, oh yeah, I'm going down this rabbit hole. I'm getting stuck. I'm in the negative chatter. I'm in the breakdown stage. So I need to kick myself out of it. And we want you to think about that. I'm turning a breakdown into a breakthrough.
Yeah.
You know, and we're not talking about deeper breakdowns, because sometimes they need longer to deal with, but we deal with that in the mentor circle and deeper things. But this is just one little tool that we want everyone just to as somebody
Yeah,
even said,
to
just
move
going
you
outdoors.
exactly into a more positive state. And Anita has a good one, like going outdoors. But even if you can just open your window and take a breath of fresh air, and what we want you to do at that point, what changing that means is just getting you out of your subconscious place into a conscious place where you can say, no, this is how I'm going to make it go. We want you to take, you know, over your mind, the way it's thinking, and actually redirect the flow of your life. One of the things we say is that you cannot change your whole life with one decision, but you can change the direction of your life with one decision. You can get out of tribulation and into declaration, which is what we're going to leave you with in the end, kind of just these 3 actions that you're going to do when you
Okay. And as we mentioned before, we provide a lot more support in our Mentor Circle program. And we, you know, it's coming up starting in July 9th, and it's one session every month, one evening session from 7 to 10. We are doing it now on Zoom, so it can go all over the world. Anyone can come on board with us, but it is really helping you to really break it down and to look at those deeper things to support you with mentorship, with also getting in touch with a great network of other women. You're beautiful women, but we're going deeper. We're actually focusing on you and what's really important to you. So we'd love you to join us if that's something that you would love to do and get more support and go to those deeper areas where we can share a lot more tools with you. Please join us. And we even have this free intro on Thursday, June the 18th. So to mark that down and just contact us at Courageous Living. You have the handout, which has our information as well, so that you can be a part of that.
That's right.
Okay.
And you know, just to kind of end this off, like we want you to know that, again, you are already so accomplished. You have already come so far. So this is for us like the 10% of our life that we still feel like our dreams are ahead of us. The very things that you want in whatever category are available for you. So allow yourself to dwell in the unlimited, and then get into that space of understanding that courage is about the declaration of it. The clearer you are, the more confidently you can move towards it. Okay. And the easier it is for you to ask help from other people. And today, if you want to look in your life and, you know, even just sort of do an assessment in terms of where are the areas that you're feeling the most joy and the areas that you feel like the most stuck or challenged or depleted, you know, the ones where you're feeling the most starved, that helps to reveal where the limitations in your mindset are. Okay. Or simply the areas of your life you simply stopped paying attention to because you felt that survival was necessary in order to get through life. You needed to focus all on work, but not on personal, or vice versa. So 3 simple calls to action so that you know how to get out, you know, walk away from this, even with just this 90 minutes, right? The first thing we actually want to make sure that you know is the breathing, like the oxy breathing. We didn't really explain a lot of it in the vagus nerve, but it's a way of releasing the oxytocin. So take a deep breath in through your nose. And as you release it, you say, like, vibrating the vagus nerve literally releases oxytocin, which is tend and befriend, rest and digest, the love hormone to reconnect you to your life and your joy.
And then now we want to just leave you with these 3 simple things that we've got. Okay, number 1, we want you to put, who would you be without that thought, that declaration? I am unstoppable. I am powerful. I am whatever you lady said. It was an amazing list of things. Put that on a Post-it note, put it on multiple Post-it notes, put it in your office, put it in your bathroom when you're brushing your teeth, put it everywhere. Understand that that is who you are. So please put that into action, because guess what? That thought will go away. You'll forget it. So put it on a Post-it note, write it on your mirror if you want in your bathroom. Okay. Our second step, use your breakthrough action to move ahead. So be aware of the fact when you get into breakdown that there are symptoms, there are things that you do. Now, how can you get yourself out? Just have that one idea and don't make it too big. It can't be like, I know what some lady said, which is beautiful, go to church. It would definitely change your state, which is wonderful. But sometimes you need something just quick, like it is stand up and shake yourself, or take a deep breath, something just to get you present in the moment. And then please keep in mind, we'd love to see you at the Mentor Circle. So join us for the free intro. You can see hear a little bit more about that, and we'd love to see you there.
Yeah, exactly. And, even saying the declaration, I am powerful, free, and creative, like someone had written in the thing, that could even be the breakthrough action that you have in the moment. That would make you put the chip bag down, like seriously.
Yeah.
So don't ever underestimate your ability in the moment to take hold of your life when it feels like it's coming out of control. So we are absolutely here to support you. We want to say we love you because we do, because as women, we are all holding hands in this journey together. We want to thank you, Sherry, so much. And Karen and
Yes.
Gary, thank you so much for organizing this. It's so important to us, like women, honestly, we're so necessary. And whenever we feel like we've got to give up something in order to get something else without actually looking at things from a holistic place, it just starts to affect the entire world and the fabric of society. So for us, doing this deeper work is about making the world a much better place. So thank you so much.
And just somebody asked just the last second, and we've got to pass this over to Sherry and WXN, but just on the handout, please know that that's where you can sign up. There's information where you sign up. Okay. Thank you, ladies. It's been a joy.
Sherry.
Thank you, ladies. Hello, this is Sherry Stevens, CEO of WXN. Thank you so much. Wow, what a great session. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing everything with these ladies. And just, yes, I'm not visible today because this is my day to take those moments that I need to step away from the computer. So I've been out mulching in the garden.
That's good.
And trying to just get away from the computer, because I think like most of us, we've been sitting at the computer and watching what's coming in next, and just a lot of anxiety around that too. So it's nice to get out and open a window and get outside, and that's what I've been doing today. So that's why you're not seeing me. I have COVID-19 hair and messy nails, and but it's great. It feels great to work in the dirt. Again, ladies, please join Joanna and Tanya on June the 8th and really be part of their mentoring circles. I think it'd be really great to continue that with them. Also, I think it's really important just listening to these ladies and really protecting your joy per minute. I know I'm a list person, I'm a checkmark person, and it does make me feel better, but sometimes I think you really need to look at what things make you joyful and what things are bringing you anxiety and really break them down. I think that's very, very important. My song is The Champion. That's what really gets me, from Carrie Underwood.
Yes, great.
And I think that's really important too. And it changes your mindset very quickly as just listening to music. It's really great. And I just want to thank the audience today, the amazing women that attended and the courageous women that attended, just for sharing your fears and your vulnerabilities with us. I know it takes a lot of courage from experience. So thank you, ladies. We really appreciate that.
So
I do want to go.
Okay.
Thank you. I love you both, and look forward to seeing you in November to go to talk about your new book, Undermined, at the WXN Virtual Book Club. So looking forward to seeing you then.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you,
much,
ladies.
Mary.
Thank you.
Love
Thank
you.
you, ladies, for participating. It was a
And
joy.
Kathleen's just asking, how do I register for the book club that you mentioned? And Karen, that's right on the website of the WXN, right?
Yes, it's on the website. Absolutely.
And for the mentor circle, it's also on the handout that Karen sent to everyone.
That's right. Or you can just go to courageousliving.com.
Yeah,
Okay,
for the mentor circle.
Take
Lovely, ladies. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a few other things before you go. Nominations are open for Canada's Most Powerful Women. We encourage you, if you know any women in your network, to nominate them. Deadline is June 29th. And if you enjoyed today and you want to become a member, we would really encourage you to join our powerful community today. We have a special on right now, just given the times right now, at $8.25 per month, or a one-time payment of $99. And we want to thank Patricia Gigich for providing the artwork for our webinar series, Part 1 and Part 2. She is a renowned artist and a Top 100 Hall of Fame. She does beautiful work.
It is beautiful.
And thank you to our partners as well. We couldn't do it without them. Our next webinar, part 2, is don't lose your long-term goal or your near-term goal. Evolve them now and don't stop. And this is with Shannon Susko again, and she is a Top 100 Award winner, of course, and she was here 2 weeks ago. So I would encourage you to come back and kind of part 2 of her series. And then again, our virtual book club events, you can see Tanya and Joanna on November the 19th. And then on Thursday, June 11th, you'll have Ann Kaplan, How to Be Successful in Spite of Yourself.
She's fabulous.
And that's it. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. We appreciate it. Be safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye.